that study was conducted by a group called the Perryman Group, which was a group hired by Obama's administration to fluff up the numbers so that he can seem like he's doing the better thing. But an independent study by Cornell University shows that it would actually only create 2,500 to 4,650 jobs in the short term, construction jobs, and in the long run would actually lead to the decrease in jobs. So that is not a valid point that you made in your opening statement.
We deny that Cornell University is accurate compared to the study done by our corporation. We don't believe that there's any bias or connection contained in these studies, and that there might be a difference in perhaps the numbers shown, but ultimately there is no consensus on who should be namely right and wrong, and both parties are entitled to their opinion in that matter.
No, truth is truth. You cannot say, oh, it's going to create 100,000 jobs and 2,000 jobs. It has to be one or the other. And your group that did the research on these numbers was not. There was a conflict of, what do you call that thing? I forget.
Interest.
Conflict of interest, because they were hired by the administration and they would only produce numbers that the administration would want them to, or else they wouldn't have published those numbers. So
we deny that the administration had any part in influencing
but you just said
the study.
that President Obama. So
Yeah, President Obama actually canceled and delayed the Keystone Pipeline, and that's why we're debating to see if it should be built. That's why we're debating that. That's why this is happening.
Okay.
I did address the point.
With respect to your concerns of the environment, such as toxic materials seeping into aquifers underground, according to Russell K. Gerling, who works for the Trans-Canada Corporation, the Keystone Pipeline would be one of the safest pipelines ever. Using the most advanced technology, the pipeline would be monitored 24 hours a day using a centralized control center. 16,000 sensors embedded in the pipeline provide data via satellite every 5 seconds. If the slightest drop in pipeline pressure is detected, remote valves are automatically closed, shutting off the flow of oil within minutes. So the issue of oil seeping into underground aquifers isn't as valid as you say, because they're utilizing some of the most advanced technology known today.
well, whether or not they're monitoring it doesn't mean that they can respond to a leak fast enough to prevent contamination.
It just said it was monitored 24 hours a day.
Yeah, just because it's monitored doesn't mean they can respond fast enough to prevent a major catastrophe and contamination.
The flow of oil will be shut off within
But
minutes.
it doesn't matter, because there would still be oil in that section of the pipe where it has a leak. So, because it's actually more likely that there might be a leak, because tar sands oil is actually much more corrosive than the normal conventional oil that we're used to using. And this is according to something, Sierra Club and National Resources Defense Council. They say that tar sands oil is much more corrosive, which can lead to faster erosion or corrosion of the pipes, which could lead to more leaks. And maybe they can respond to one, but what if there's like 3 or 4 leaks at the same time? They wouldn't be able to respond to that fast enough. So I don't think
That's really unlikely, because pipelines are the safest mode of transportation of oil, and pipeline spills themselves are very uncommon.
of conventional oil. This is tar sands oil, which is something like, I didn't write it down, Darn, but it's a lot more corrosive than conventional oil.
Also,
But the chances of the spills themselves happening is already very low.
But they
And
have
the
happened with your
regulations-
company.
No, and the oil regulation, the safety regulations that Canada has agreed to, they already exceed the safeguards that U.S. Of this U.S. standard of oil regulation.
So did your last one, the Keystone one, which was the original one, and in opening in 2009, there were reported 12 spills of over 21,000 gallons of oil.
okay,
Last
we have learned from our mistakes.
Oh,
our
really?
pipes have now been built with thicker steel and run with a low voltage to prevent external corrosion. This makes it the safest pipeline to date.
We're talking about internal corrosion here from the tar sands themselves. I don't see what external corrosion is going to do to help from internal.
Pipelines will manage the internal corrosion, make sure.
Yeah.
If I can read something. National pipeline statistics indicate that pipeline accidents are uncommon and that leaks tend to be small. The leaks that have been associated with TransCanada Corporation, 80% of the spills involve less than 50 barrels, and less than 0.5% of all of our spills totaled more than 10,000 barrels. So that spill of over 21,000 barrels was only 0.5% of all of our spills.
But regardless, you're talking about a safe, reliable source of oil when the TransCanada's first Keystone has experienced over 14 spills, including one in March 2011 in the North Dakota pipeline.
Well, that's a faulty comparison. We're not talking about Keystone 1, we're talking about the new pipeline. What does that have anything to do with
But
it?
how do you intend on protecting the environment from the new one, from spills from the new one if the old one can't even?
We've made technological improvements to make the new more sound and
Like
safe.
what?
I would like to hear the technological improvements.
I
You said
listed
them
them
earlier.
before.
Okay, Sam.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
The
short attention
pipeline
span.
monitoring through a centralized control center with the over 16,000 sensors embedded in the pipeline, providing data via satellite every 5 seconds. So I think 5 seconds is a pretty fast response to any leak that might happen. And the flow of oil would be shut off within minutes should there be any leak. So
That's not a response. That you're talking about monitoring.
I know, but it's automatic.
It's monitoring
so
for a response. We're
It's
not just
automatic.
watching it for funsies.
Yeah, but when we have when you have 14 leaks in your old one, how can we be?
Your
assured
argument
that-
is irrelevant. We're referring to an old one when we're building a new
No,
one.
no, because when your history shows that you have leaks, that means that you're untrustworthy.
History
about
shows
that leak.
mistakes in order to create improvement.
Okay, going to a different issue. I'd like to know what you guys propose to do to protect the First Nation communities in British Columbia, Canada, and American Indian communities throughout the United States. The Keystone is going to run through their land and disrupt their ability to fish because of pollution into the water and other toxic contamination and environmental degradation in their community. So what do you do to protect their rights and their property? What's your plan for that?
That's a good question.
You didn't catch the whole thing. I love this team.
We're unaware of any problems caused by the Keystone Pipeline
you are.
interfering with
Okay,
fishing of the
According
indigenous
to
people.
the Indigenous Environmental Network, they stated in their publication of tar sands and indigenous rights, which you can find at ienrf.org, they said that these First Nation tribes are very concerned about their futures and they don't know what they're going to do because they don't have financial means themselves and they're very
They could work on
worried
the
about
pipeline.
yeah,
their
the Keystone Pipeline would provide
Well,
multiple
you guys
jobs.
are talking of this like not building this pipeline. These tar sands are not. They're just going to stay there. But no, they're not. If we don't build this pipeline, TransCanada is going to agree to build the pipeline with China. And you say you want to help the environment, but it sounds like you're just concerned about it here. Like, what if it goes to China? The environment's going to get messed up over there too. So I mean, like, we have better safeguards than China does. So it'll be more. We'll protect the environment more.
Wait, they would make a pipe to China?
They would sell the pipe.
No, I mean we
That
already receive oil or tar sand oil from Canada, so I mean that's not. I mean we're talking about the Keystone Pipeline itself, not the transportation.
Well, would you rather have